says the recent Pahalgam attack in Kashmir seems far from random. It can be a calculated move by China executed through Pakistan to destabilize India at a critical time. With the US imposing heavy tariffs on Chinese goods, many global companies have started shifting their supply chains to India, threatening China's economic dominance. To counter this shift, China could be using its close ally Pakistan to create internal unrest in India, especially in sensitive regions like Kashmir. By doing so, China's goal may be to project India as unstable and unsafe for foreign investment, thereby slowing its rising momentum as a global manufacturing hub. This isn't just terrorism, it's economic warfare disguised as a regional conflict. Now, this is a really international interesting point that you raise here. Uh, what's the deal? So look, it's clear that look, China does benefit if things go wrong in Kashmir. China, right now, what's happening is that the world is seeking alternatives to China. You have marquee manufacturers like Apple who are increasingly shifting production to India. I don't care what the media says, it's happening. More and more of the production that was happening in China is now being moved to India. And China needs China. It's great for China if India gets portrayed as an unsafe destination, right? Now, what is it that takes? If you are a foreign manufacturer and if you're wondering whether you should come to India and manufacture in India, what does it take to convince you? First of all, the business environment should be good, the government should give you good treatment, you should get all the facilities you need, you need to have a good stable labor force, and so on. All that is there in India. Mostly it's there in India. The things that keep people away, make them wonder whether they should not come, is if you have constant terrorism and unsafe environment, and if it's very hard to have contracts enforced and things like that. So the manufacturing that Apple is doing is happening in southern India, if I'm not mistaken. And what happens in Kashmir is kind of usually by if you're a foreign investor, you don't connect what's happening in Kashmir to what's happening in the rest of India, because everyone knows that Kashmir is right next to the terror factory, that's Pakistan. And Kashmir has historically been targeted by Pakistan. So if there are terror attacks that's happening in other parts of India, that's a red flag. If it's happening in Kashmir, then the foreign investors don't really get don't see it as a red flag. Okay, now understand this. So if India is projected as an unsafe destination, it helps China for sure. So there is definitely strategic convergence of interests here. But understand, it's not a hierarchical convergence; it's a strategic convergence. It's just the yeah. So it's not hierarchical. Whatever has happened has been probably done by the ISI and the LET and whatnot. Beijing does benefit from this, but I don't think there is any clear sign that they are involved. They will definitely give their diplomatic backing to Pakistan, their diplomatic shielding to Pakistan. But Beijing, one thing, if you look at their track record, you will understand they do not outsource sectarian terrorism. See, how does Beijing generally like to operate? Beijing is a bully. We know that, right? Beijing is a bully. How do they operate vis-a-vis their neighbors? Except for Russia, all other nations are smaller than them, right? So they are the big bully in the region, except for when it comes to the relationship with Russia. How do they treat their other neighbors? First of all, they indulge in salami slicing away territory. Every single neighboring country, they do this to them. They have been doing this to everyone, and we know it very, very well. They've deliberately not demarcated the border. They choose to keep the border issue open, India-Tibet border, so that they can keep salami slicing wherever the opportunity may or may not present itself. Right. So one thing they do is salami slicing. The other thing they do is various other kinds of bullying. Whether it is the South China Sea kind of thing, island building, or whatever. That's the sort of bullying they do. And the one thing they don't do is outsource sectarian terrorism, because that tarnishes their image, and they have been at pains to present a spotless image to the world, diplomatically, internationally, etc. that we have an unimpeachable track record, and our rise is a peaceful rise, and so on. And if they were to indulge in things like these, you know, get involved in Pakistani terrorism against India, it can come back to bite them, because they have a significant investment in Central Asia, even Pakistan, the Belt and Road Initiative. In Pakistan, it's called the CPEC, the China Pakistan Economic Corridor, and they have been facing um, attacks along that corridor from Balochistan freedom fighters and others. And if they start funding Pakistani terrorism or getting involved in that directly, then it can come back to bite them very badly. So I don't think China will be directly involved in this. They certainly their interests will certainly be served by what happened, but I think their presence, or their participation in this, could be limited to giving diplomatic backing and diplomatic shielding to Pakistan once this goes to the UN and other things. Beyond that, I don't think China will directly get involved in this, and there is no evidence of that whatsoever.